Federal Drive is presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, proudly providing health and dental benefits to federal employees and their families. Visit GEHA.com.
A new acquisition structure has been taking shape within the Army. It shifts the focus away from managing individual programs and toward overseeing portfolios of capabilities. Senior leaders, now known as portfolio acquisition executives, oversee capability areas, while the offices responsible for individual programs have been rebranded from program executive offices to capability program executives. Dennis Teefy is project manager for Command and Control applications within the new capability program executive for Command and Control Information Network. He talked with Federal News Network's Anastasia Obis about the new structure and how it's changing things.
How the Army in the past looked at the programs were very stovepiped. So when I was a PM for tactical radios, I was really concerned about the tactical radios. How do I develop, manage, test, procure, and field those radios across the entire Army? I wasn't really always focused on how does the radio network integrate with all the different warfighting functions. How does the radio network impact how we do command and control? I was just providing a simple capability, and I needed to make sure that I was able to not only field it, but also manage it without any real thought about how we're going to use that across the entire Army. How we're doing it now is each one of those layers, just one component of the entire network. So this breaking up that stovepipe concept is brilliant because we're really making sure that all the different PM shops, as well as the users, our industry base, and our requirements community all fall in on making sure that we have mission success, not individual product success.
And you've also, during TEM, outlined several priorities for the shop, including standing up a DevSecOps pipeline or the sandbox environment, and also building an application storefront. One of your priorities also includes developing warfighting function applications tied to the data layer. Let's talk about the DevSecOps pipeline. Where does the effort stand today, and what are some of the key considerations as you build out this pipeline? What are some of the options that you're weighing in there?
Yeah, so we're super excited about the speed that we're getting after all of those priorities. All the work that we've been doing, prototyping concepts of NGC2 at 4ID and 25ID, really leveraging the partnership between industry, the acquisition community, the development community, and the warfighter users, we're able to really understand the foundational components of what we need to do within C2 apps. What we're doing is understanding what is the best of breed that our industry partners and our team leads are bringing to really inform our acquisition and contracting approach. That acquisition and contracting approach will really give us an opportunity to develop and move forward to each one of those priorities that you lined out. So let me give you an example of what we are doing in each one of those layers. For our DevSecOps pipeline, we've been working hard on our market research, exploring what industry has been doing, what options exist, what our partners are doing in the Air Force and the Navy, and understanding what the technical issues that each one of those stakeholders have experienced as they build it. So we are taking the lessons learned from those prototype efforts, as well as what we're doing with our market research, and combining that into developing what we believe is the pathway for the DevSecOps pipeline. So as of right now, we've established a development and test environment that the Army can start prototyping and working on. And we're now working with other partners within Army and industry in moving that test and development environment to an actual production environment. And as we exercise that sandbox, we're going to continue to follow the best of breed of industry while also staying in tune with what Army policies and procedures are to make sure that we hit all of our different cybersecurity requirements, and maintain pace with the threats that are coming along. On the application storefront, we're a step behind in where we are in the DevSecOps pipeline. And that's okay, because it's important that we have the pipeline established. We understand the policies and the procedures and the technical solutions before we actually get to that storefront. At the TEM that we met at originally, the day before, we met with more than 15 industry partners where we got their feedback of how they thought they can support us in doing an application storefront. And coming out of the TEM, that information from those 15 vendors, as well as what we learned into prototyping, we're about to go out to industry to formalize a request for information to make sure that we codify individuals' input and we push for market research.
All right, a lot to unpack there. Let's go back to the DevSecOps pipeline, and let's start with that market research. Could you talk a little bit about some of the lessons learned from that market research and the type of feedback that you are getting from industry?
Yeah, so this is so critical. We within this organization are focused on being transparent with our users as well as our industry partners. And by doing that, we're finding that they're transparent back to us. So every industry partner that we meet with kind of opens up their books and tells us what went right when they were doing their development process, and more importantly, what went wrong and where they failed and the mistakes that they made along the way, because they don't want the Army to make the same mistakes that they've made in supporting either their commercial offerings or the work that they've done supporting our sister services. So things such as making sure that we don't lock our requirements so tight that we can't actually pivot along the time. Because if we lock our requirements so tight, when we actually start using it or things change, they have no flexibility and to adapt to that change. They also ask us not to try to bite off everything at once. Make sure that you do a minimal viable capability instead of trying to build the perfect solution up front. They said the key to any storefront is much like the DevSecOps, is making sure that you are iterating constantly on it, adjusting to users' feedback, as well as being willing to accept what is the best of breed coming in from industry.
That's Dennis Teefy, the Army's project manager for command and control applications. To watch his full conversation with Federal News Network's Anastasia Obis, check out our latest DoD Modernization Exchange at federalnewsnetwork.com.